Number 22, Skype Conference of Contactees, Irina Podzorova with ufologist Maxim Brunevsky, Part 1. Published October 17, 2019. Interview of ufologist Maxim Bronievsky with contactor Irina Podzorova, broadcasting the answers of Midgaskhaus, a researcher from the planet Essler.
Today we have a meeting with Irina answering questions. We have 23 questions from different research groups, including ufological.
Hello, everyone. Here is Midgaskhaus from the planet Essler, with whom I am in contact. He sends his regards to you.
Yeah, Midgaskhaus, hi. Let's start with questions, I guess. We have the first two questions from our Swedish colleagues. First question, are there extraterrestrial civilizations living in our solar system? If so, are they as physical as we are?
In the solar system, except for Earth, extraterrestrial civilizations exist only on their own bases. Currently, there is no organic, indigenous life in the solar system, except on Earth. There are alien bases on Mars, on Venus, and on the satellites of the giant planets that perform various functions to study Earth and the solar system as a whole. But on planets with powerful atmospheres, such as Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, there are subtle material plasmoid civilizations.
So we can say that plasmoids are inhabitants of our solar system.
Yes, there are plasmoids that live in the atmosphere of a planet. We call them planetary plasmoids. And there are stellar plasmoids. They live in the chromosphere of stars such as the Sun, Rigel, and other stars.
Are there plasmoids in the core of our sun?
They go into the core, that is, they are near the core, not in the core itself, but near it, closer to the surface. There is such a place right in the middle of the Sun, through which there is a portal, a place of traveling to other star systems. The energy there is high vibrational, so it is able to move them to other star systems.
How are stars attractive to plasmoids, energy civilizations?
The energy that stars emit is not only in visible light and radio waves, it is in many spectra of electromagnetic waves that are attractive to stellar plasmoids as food. They cannot nourish their ethereal body with our organic food, but they need to be nourished.
So it's an energy boost for them.
Yes, everything that we see as light, as heat, as radiation is nourishment for them.
Can stars be used as portals to travel to other stars or universes?
To fly inside a star on a physical ship, one must have a very powerful protective field. Moreover, the ship itself must be constructed of such materials that not only would it not be melted by the star, but it would also be able to withstand the pressure. It's much easier to make gravity jumps with the kind of engine that Kircheton was talking about. There's no need for extra defenses and such.
Is there a potential way to do this through the stars?
We Esslerians know for sure that those portals which exist in stars transfer plasmoids, i.e. ethereal entities, but how this portal will behave inside the star when there is a physical object in it in the form of a ship, no one knows. Our science has not investigated this question. We had no need to send physical objects there because we are not engaged in the study of what is not promising for us.
I see. Are there secret societies on Earth that already have spaceships similar to alien ones, capable of traveling to other stars? If so, who are they?
Based on the data of the Interstellar Union, I can say that personally, I am not aware of any flying machines of any Earth organization, even with a planetary engine, which develops a speed of at least 1/8 of light speed, whether it is a governmental or non-governmental organization. All Earthlings who visit other planets in physical bodies do so on Interstellar Union ships.
Can we conclude that no Earth structures have ships similar to yours?
If there is, the Interstellar Union is not aware of it. Personally, I've been traveling around your planet for years. I've been to the Moon, Mars, and other planets. In space, around the Earth, traveled in my ship many times. I have never once met your people in their own flying machines, nor have I ever heard talk of it among other Interstellar Union workers who work with your planet.
Do Earth-based secret societies have economic and financial power on Earth, and do they control presidents?
I know only one thing. Secret organizations on your planet, of which you speak, make attempts to influence your politics, your presidents, your laws. But these attempts are not always successful. That is, the president, depending on his inner qualities, may not succumb to bribery. All this is not happening in such a way that I will bribe you and you will sign the necessary law. It's more subtle than that. All this is offered under the guise of a good deed. The president may not agree with those who propose him to introduce this or that law because all people are different, so your government is not under direct control. They are as free in their choice as they can be. The only thing is, there is this point. Any president realizes that if he passes laws that are unpopular with the elitist and financial circles of his country, there is a danger that he may not remain in office. And sometimes there is a danger to his life.
There is an opinion that former U.S. President John F. Kennedy was assassinated by secret societies. Is this true?
Any president realizes that if he passes laws unpopular to the financial elites, the leaders of these financial elites can take all actions and measures, using all their money and other methods of influence on the underworld to overthrow him.
Up to and including murder.
Rulers of all ranks and societies have always been assassinated, and it happens precisely because someone is not satisfied with the foreign policy adopted by him or his internal policy. Presidents are well aware of this, as they are excellent strategists and not naive people.
Do U.S. intelligence agencies interact with gray humanoids from the Zeta Grid system?
The Interstellar Union has been checking all colonies of Tashig, Selbet, and some other civilizations, which, according to the information available in the Interstellar Union, have a tendency to secret contacts with secret services of planets of young races, which is forbidden by our legislation. But according to the results of the inspection, which was conducted by the Interstellar Union about 40 years ago, no facts confirming secret contacts of representatives of Tashig and its colonies with political and criminal communities of Earth were revealed. Therefore, the matter was closed. If new facts appear that will speak about the guilt of certain alien civilizations, and these facts will be provided to the Interstellar Union, the investigation will be resumed. And we assure you that the facts known to you have nothing to do with the Interstellar Union and its policies.
Can civilizations outside the Interstellar Union ignore the laws of the Interstellar Union?
The fact is that your planet is protected and patronized by Planet Burkhad. It is one of your creators. Burkhad is the capital of the Interstellar Union. According to its rules, even those civilizations which are not members of the Interstellar Union, but whose representatives want to visit the Earth, even if only for tourist or research purposes, must take the appropriate permission directly from Planet Burkhad, and especially if it is not just a tourist or research purposes, but contact with representatives of your planet. According to the rules of the Interstellar Union, any representative of another planet or another galaxy altogether, which is not a member of the Interstellar Union, cannot come to your planet without the permission of the Burkhad, for they are your creators and, in your Earth language, your guardians.
Are the representatives of the Vatican under the mental influence of destructive reptilians?
If there are any facts of violation of the law of the Interstellar Union about non-interference in internal political affairs of your planet by any of the civilizations, or if there are any facts of negative contacts with any representative of your planet, wherever he lives and whatever he does, I ask you to report these facts through a contactor, either to me, or to Kirchitan, or to representatives of Planet Burkhad. They will scrutinize this thoroughly. All those responsible will be punished.
Is a regressive hypnosis session proof, or should this question be investigated in more depth?
Yes, if there will be presented not evaluative judgments, but facts that show the negative contact or intervention took place. That is, facts such as at exactly what time, at exactly what place, exactly what person was influenced. And of course, this case will be investigated.
Can anyone in the universe be around the Earth in an astral body?
Yes, you are right. The fact is that even the physical space around the Earth was visited very often, especially in the past years, by alien ships, which unfortunately flew criminals who abducted your people. But for the past 2 years, the contingent of forces that guard the safety of our galaxy in your solar system has increased. And now your near-solar space is much better guarded. As for the astral space, the astral is one for the whole galaxy, for the whole universe, as well as the whole spiritual world as a whole. Therefore, of course, any of the representatives of civilizations, both of the dense material civilizations of the subtle material worlds and of the subtle material worlds and from the spiritual world of disembodied spirits, can appear here in the astral. Therefore, I call you again and again to caution in contacts in the astral.
Therefore, beings with selfish intentions towards man can manifest.
There are a lot of civilizations in the galaxy with different attitudes towards you. Besides, in one and the same civilization, as you understand, the structure of society is heterogeneous. That is, in the same civilization, different personalities may have different focus of their actions, different opinions about you. Therefore, always when you come into contact, astral or physical contact with aliens or plasmoids, never evaluate them by the words with which the alien appears, and do not look at the planet from which he came. You evaluate them only by their actual actions and deeds. Only their actions and deeds will reveal to you the truth of who he is and what his goals are.
How to avoid fear and negative emotions during contacts with aliens?
According to the laws of the interstellar union, it is forbidden to make contact with a person if he is not ready for it, neither psychologically nor energetically. The fact is that fear is a protective reaction of your spirits to danger, and it is during contacts that it shows either its psychological unreadiness to make contact or its incompatibility with its energetic vibrations. For the humanoid who has made contact, the fear of his contactor is a signal for him to explain to the contactor in a form accessible to him that he bears no evil, and to offer voluntary contact. And if he sees that this does not help and the incompatibility continues, he is legally obliged to break off the contact and not to return to it again.
What to do if aliens do force contacts?
Forcing, that is, influencing the contactee physically or by psychological manipulation in order for the contactee to fly, is, according to our rules, illegal. However, if the humanoids really want contact, they can try to persuade the contactor to fly with them, to try to interest them in something. But if the contactor says firmly, "No, I will not go with you," they should not insist.
Is there really, under the Sphinx and Egyptian pyramids, there are materials about the real history of the Earth and a functioning spaceship?
When the Sphinx and the pyramids were built, indeed, the priests, together with the representatives of Tumasaut, whom they considered gods, built under them the constructions similar to your basements, caves, and so on. There's a passageway like a mine. They actually kept artifacts from other planets in there. They might have left a spaceship and parts from it and books and so on. That was a long time ago. As far as the priests could provide safety of these artifacts up to now, and whether they did not get to them after the Arabs came to power in Egypt, it is necessary to find out now, visiting these pyramids already in a physical body.
So there's still a chance of finding artifacts?
If in reality there is preserved what ancient Tumasutians and their contact priests put there, then the power structures of Egypt will not allow researchers from all over the world to search for these objects.
Did the ancient Egyptians communicate with extraterrestrial civilizations?
It was not only in Egypt, it was in the whole ancient world, in India, in ancient Russia, in Australia, etc. Just yesterday, Irina was at the conference where researchers of Mexican paleocontacts showed very interesting drawings and figures made of stones, exactly about paleocontact in Mexico. That is, their priests also made figures of aliens sitting in a flying saucer from stone. It was Mexico, Egypt, Himalayas, etc. Contacts were everywhere. I think you are aware of these artifacts. And while you didn't have the technology of modern weapons, the interstellar union was more open to contact with Earthlings.
Do all galaxies have interstellar alliances of civilizations similar to the one in our galaxy?
Among the galaxies known to us, there are civilizations that have reached the level of interstellar flights into space. Of course, different galaxies have different numbers of these civilizations. But those civilizations that we know, sooner or later, find each other and begin to interact. Unfortunately, there are negative examples, such as wars and other confrontations. However, in most galaxies, sooner or later, something similar in some form to our interstellar union will form. Unfortunately, there are some galaxies where civilizations do not want to agree among themselves and develop autonomously. I can unequivocally say that they are a minority.
That is, at some point in every galaxy, a coordinating body is formed. Is this an evolutionary process?
Even where an intragalactic body has not been formed and civilizations are developing autonomously, feuding with each other on different levels, we very much hope that the urge to unite different worlds will prevail over those hostile feelings and thoughts, which for some reason prevail in them so far.
Are there large intergalactic associations of civilizations?
Yes. The interstellar union of our galaxy is also a part of the intergalactic union, which has many different civilizations. There are 52 galaxies in the intergalactic union. It's a larger entity than the Interstellar Alliance. It has less to do with your planet. But civilizations from this union, if they have such interest, can send to our galaxy, to any of its planets, their researchers for contacts, for studying this or that world. And I can tell you that some representatives of other galaxies have become interested in your civilization, having learned that you are hybrids of 3 races and an animal from this planet, and they have shown interest in studying your race and planet.
What can you say about the alien meaty from the Andromeda Galaxy?
Among them, there is one of the representatives of the galaxy M31, who is known on Earth as Meaty. He lived in the galaxy M31, and as a specialist, he received permission, including from the representatives of Burkhard, as they are your guardians and interstellar protectors. Having obtained authorization from the proper authorities, he was able to contact your people. However, in Russia, he has no contactors.
Is it one specialist from this civilization in contact with Earthlings, or the whole civilization in the person of Mitya?
This specialist is a representative of his civilization on Earth. He is alone. He reports on his work with you, on his research. What information he passed on, I was not interested in. But as far as I know, no other specialists from his world have been sent here yet.
If I may, where is he on Earth? At some base, or is he constantly moving around?
The last time I saw him, he was at a Tumasutians base near Syria. He can travel in his ship. He was on Burkhard on the moon base. He wasn't on Essler.
Is our galactic structure already well acquainted with it?
Yes, because he is a specialist who came to Burkhard with permission from his interstellar union M31 and asked to be allowed to explore your world, explaining the reason for his interest in you.
So representatives of other galaxies, if they have any interest in Earth, should apply for Burkhard.
Yes, they should apply for Burkhard because Burkhard is responsible for you, as you have the highest percentage of alien genes in your genetics from Burkhard.
Does our universe have a beginning and an end, or is it an infinite structure?
According to our science, information about very distant galaxies has been obtained. From these very, very distant galaxies, we can see other galaxies at the same great distance which are not visible from here. We have not found the limit of the universe, and most likely there is no such limit in our material world.
Are there other universes that have a different principle of matter formation?
Besides the universe, there is also the antiverse, which consists of matter with energy opposite to your energy. It is called antiverse, but its traditional name is Shambhala, because this is the name of the representatives of this antiverse who are in contact with the representatives of your world. They can travel here through the astral.
Are they being transported here by technical devices?
They move here through astral portals because the substance of which their bodies, universe, and ships are composed is not compatible with the energies of our universe. Therefore, it is possible for them to visit our universe, or us to visit their universe in an astral body, but it is more difficult to do so than to visit any world in our universe.
Are there portals to another universe in the centers of galaxies?
Since the passages to the antiverse are usually located in the centers of galaxies, there is such energy there that will not let the astral body through if it is not compatible with the center of the galaxy by its vibrations.
So it requires a high level of vibrations.
Yes, based on your level of development, it should be pretty high vibrations.
Will there be destruction if you try to penetrate with lower vibrations?
If an unprepared astral body enters the center of the galaxy, it will not be let through. A person will wake up in his body with weakness, headache, and may fall ill.
There is a concept among some researchers. The higher the level of development, i.e. the higher the level of vibrations, the spirits have more serious possibilities to penetrate into other worlds or universes that it has not yet seen at all. Is this true?
The antiverse can only be accessed through the center of the galaxy, not through a star.
Can it be done at the center of every galaxy?
Yes, there are portals at the center of every spiral galaxy.
Is there an exchange of knowledge and experience between representatives of our universe and the antiverse?
I don't know if Irina told you, but a representative from the Antiverse came to her and gave her information.
If a civilization from another galaxy decided to observe the Earth, should it build its base on the moon?
They can build a base on the moon if they get permission from the Interstellar Alliance. But this is usually not necessary, as they operate with the permission and control of the Interstellar Union. They do not need to expend resources and energy to build their base, and are granted a compartment on a common base. To put it in your terms, they are given a rented office in a huge office in which they can set up.
Do civilizations visiting Earth for research purposes have to ask permission from the Interstellar Union?
As a rule, for research purposes, authorizations are taken that specify whether contact with your life form is foreseen. If contact is foreseen, for what purpose? It specifies exactly what information will be shared with Earthlings and whether they will take samples of your nature. There is quite a detailed description of what exactly will be studied and for what purpose. Humanoids from another civilization, which is not a member of the Interstellar Union, must sign an agreement that they are familiar with the rules of the Interstellar Union on contact with you and will comply with them, as well as representatives of the Interstellar Union.
Is it expedient to erase contactors' memory after their visits to extraterrestrial spaceships?
The representatives of the Interstellar Union can also block the memory of the contact if the specialists who contact your species believe that the memory of the contact may cause harm either to the person himself or to the people around him, or they see that the contactee's attitude to the contact is not adequate. If they consider that in the future, after the contact, the person will think a lot, worry, they can block the memory. Most often, the memory is blocked for those contactors who had physical contact once or twice, just to install microchips and further astral contacts. It is believed that astral contacts do not need to remember the physical contact, because in the future he can ask for a repeat of the physical contact, and for astral contacts it is not expedient.
Are there transportation networks or tunnels under the surface of the moon?
Under the surface of the moon, there is one large base for 18 civilizations, which belongs to the Interstellar Union, and there are several of its divisions, but already in other places of the moon under its soil. They are indeed connected by transportation networks, but they are not magnetic pads. These tunnels can be traveled by aircraft.
Are they designed specifically for flying?
You can walk there. It's got the same atmosphere and pressure as all the lunar bases that are here. The conditions there are quite suitable for representatives of all humanoid civilizations.
Do you mean a small one-person flying machine?
A flying machine up to 8 to 10 meters in diameter can fly there. Meade shows a round tube which in some places is made of stone and in other places of some metal, rings, something like nickel, silver, something to do with electrical conductivity.
Are these tunnels man-made?
Robots.
What kind of civilization interacted with contactor Viktor Korshunov?
According to my data from the Interstellar Union contact database, he's been in contact with a civilization of the extragalactic colony of Burkhad. That's Tulum.
Do Tulum representatives work with Earth?
Yes, but their contact is less frequent than that of the Burkhadians themselves.
Are there many extraterrestrial civilizations in the Perm anomalous zone?
There is a base there, but it is closer to the Nizhny Novgorod region, not far from the Zhigulev Mountains.
According to information of some civilizations, mankind came from other planets, and according to information of other civilizations, mankind was created by genetic way. Where is the truth?
You were originally created as a product of hybridization with your primates. But later on, when the age that you call the Golden Age of Mankind came, which existed before the war that took place 12,000 years ago, your civilization developed, colonies were established on Venus and on Mars, and indeed, representatives of many galactic civilizations even established settlements with you and made contact with Earthlings. Since, I have already said, your planet is unique in your sector of the galaxy, in its diversity of animal species, plant species, it was of great interest to galactic scientists and ordinary people from other worlds who wished to live there, worlds who wanted to live here as tourists. So naturally they built their bases here too. But unlike those that exist now, they were not hidden. They were like your present-day settlements.
Is it possible to conclude that modern mankind is a product of hybridization of several cosmic races?
There have been times when civilizations that came to Earth came into direct contact with your people and produced offspring. But it was not an interference with your genetic apparatus, like when you were created. These were voluntary marriages. Because mostly, your women were very eager to unite with the gods and have offspring from them.
Are such cases described in the myths of ancient Greece?
And in the myths of ancient Greece, and in the myths of ancient Russia, and in the myths of Scandinavia. Practically all over the earth, there are legends that speak about unions with gods and about children from these marriages.
It turns out that now there are descendants of a hybrid man with gods on Earth?
Yes, but joining with your people and procreating was not considered tampering with your genetic apparatus.
What is the purpose of hybridization carried out by various extraterrestrial civilizations?
Hybridization is applied in different cases and with different purposes. It happens that some kind of intelligent beings want to change some or other properties of their physical body, which, for example, they have not developed, and then they look for representatives of such civilizations whose genes will be dominant over their own genes. All this is investigated by scientists. First, the DNA of the species of interest. Their chromosomal set is studied, all variants of connections are studied. It is determined what kind of offspring should be obtained. Special predictions are made, and then experiments begin. At first, they don't go as far as developing of living things. As a rule, cell cultures are grown first, as it is considered unethical to start joining spirits of different species from different planets at once, and it is fraught with the appearance of an intelligent being with some mutations, from which the creature can then get sick, and a spirit can enter the sick body. First, experiments must be made to ensure safety for the body.
Is it true that high vibrational spirits can enter a body whose genetics is also on a high level? In other words, does the genetics of the body have to match the vibrations of the spirits?
Yes, that's right. An intelligent spirit can join only that body whose nervous system is developed enough for the spirit to manifest through the body. That is, the vibrations of that body must be developed, and they must match that spirit. For example, the nervous system of a dog does not correspond to your spirit because its cerebral cortex is not developed enough for your consciousness to appear there. And if your consciousness does not appear there, you will not be able to connect with the dog's body with your life force.
Does the interstellar union interact with the spiritual world or noosphere of the Earth?
Representatives of the higher hierarchies of the spiritual world incarnate in different worlds, on Earth, on Burkhad, and in other worlds. When they enter the spiritual world and remember their lives on other planets, of course they interact with each other on different issues. If there are beings on the humanoids planet who are able to feel the spiritual world and come into contact with it, you call them mediums, then of course they come into contact with the spiritual world on any planet, and then highly developed spirits influence the development of this planet, the development in them of a more conscious and light attitude to various aspects of life.
I've met information that around each planet there is a so-called noosphere, in which live the most high vibrational spirits of this civilization, and they help the development of this civilization. Does this have a place?
We can say that the spiritual world is around the planet. We can say that it is inside the planet itself. Both would be true, because it permeates the entire planet. The space of the spiritual world is parallel to our material space, and at the same time they are in each other. What is called biofield of the planet, noosphere of the planet, astral atmosphere of the planet, it is all one and the same, spiritual world, which is a parallel dimension on any planet. And it too has its own levels, its own spheres, its own areas. For example, the spiritual world consists of 3 areas. 1, astral world, the closest to the material world in vibrations. 2, a little farther away, the world of disembodied spirits, which in turn is divided into 24 levels. 3, even higher in vibrations, the 24th level. This is the very world which you usually call the kingdom of heaven. It is the supreme abode of God in his original light. There is nothing and no one else there. High vibrational spirits have access there, but in itself there is only the consciousness of the one who created this world and maintains its existence every second with his energy of light.
Do high vibrational spirits live in the biofields of planets and help the development of the planets in whose biofields they live?
In the higher spheres of the spiritual world, on levels 22 and 23, there are those whom you call higher angels, mentors, teachers, and indeed there are such associations which consider it possible to help this or that planet. For example, just as in the interstellar union planet Burkhard decided to patronize the Earth, so in the spiritual world there are their spiritual unions that patronize this or that civilization, this or that planet.
Are high vibrational spirits from the spiritual world saints of the level of Sergius of Radonezh, Seraphim of Serov, and others?
Most often, those whom you call saints in your religion have really come from the high levels of the spiritual world in order to teach people from the low levels to serve God. And this is not slavery. This is the highest freedom in the light of his true love. They themselves were born on this level, and they see happiness, joy, pleasure in it. And it is natural that they want to share their love with the whole of the world. That is why they voluntarily go to incarnation in a world similar to the Earth, even realizing that not everyone will accept and understand them there. As a rule, they believe that if at least 1 out of 100 succeeds in conveying this truth, they go to these hardships for his sake, because they consider it the highest manifestation of love. Their task is to show the path of spiritual development in the setting in which one finds oneself, for they themselves have previously gone through stages of spiritual development. They have also been on lower levels and therefore know what thoughts and feelings prevail there, and therefore they try to speak to people in a language they understand.
Are the Slavic Aryan Vedas real historical materials? What extraterrestrial civilizations passed them on?
With Slavs and in general with Indo-European race as a whole contacted representatives of Burkhard and their colonies. There were also contacts with representatives of planets Shimor, Esler, Tumasaut. The pantheon of gods in one or another polytheistic system could include both representatives of various alien civilizations and representatives of plasmoid worlds, and even people themselves, for example, kings, leaders, heroes, which in time people deified. What you call Slavic Aryan Vedas, as well as any other religious text, was transmitted by a contactor either from one of the civilizations of the interstellar union, or it was someone who was in contact with plasmoid worlds, someone you call a shaman's priest, etc., and he wrote down the text that was transmitted to him as information.
God Perun is an alien representative of one of the Burkhard colonies?
God Perun, as well as Zeus and others, are all representatives of Burkhard on Earth. All that you call thunderers, lightning, all this demonstrated what weapons their ships possessed for defense against ill-wishers, for example, Selbets.
Are there any bases on Earth of extraterrestrial civilizations that are not part of the interstellar union?
There are interstellar union bases on Earth, but they can be occupied representatives of any civilization that has received permission from the ICU to be on these bases.
Do they mostly use interstellar union bases, or are there cases when they build independent bases?
When they are authorized to work on Earth, there is no such need to build a separate base, because they usually submit a request for a place to work as well. They are given some place, because in fact, on your planet and on the moon, enough bases have already been built, and even there are inactive. There are also abandoned ones. Naturally, if the Interstellar Union says, "We have no place, build your own base," indicates a place, etc., then they, in order to start research and not to fly here every time, will be forced to start building something of their own. But so far, there have been no such cases.
What is the rent for the alien bases of the Interstellar Union?
Depends on the purpose. For research purposes, space on the base is provided free of charge to the scientific communities of the galaxy, but on the condition that they share the results of research with the Interstellar Union. Tourist bases pay 25 to 30% of a paid tour to the Interstellar Union if the tourists belong to a civilization other than the Interstellar Union.
Are there alien bases at the bottom of the oceans, underwater?
Yes, there are bases underwater. Especially representatives of the planet Desnit like to build bases underwater because on their planet there are whole underwater cities. and they have developed good technologies of building in places under pressure, in water. They use special materials. They can be glass or non-glass. Mead shows Irina an image. Bases underwater look like spheres with thick walls. She doesn't understand exactly what the material is, but assumes it is ceramic metal.
Do they build bases at such depths that our people cannot reach them?
Submarine bases are convenient because your military doesn't have access to them. You have submarines. But alien submarine bases are built where submarines don't go, where submarines can't go. If even a boat goes down there, the base can not only cloak itself, it can send a signal that the submarine will go back.
Is this a psychic influence?
There's a type of infrasound that propagates even better in water than in air. And if the sound beam is directed at the person who is driving the boat, he will swim backwards and float to the surface of the water because he will be afraid to be underwater and he will not be able to explain why. We know that if your military discovers our base, they will invite other militaries there as well. Research will begin, attempts to infiltrate the bases. So the residents of the base realize that this could lead to conflict. So to avoid that, the alien base specialists are turning them back.
Has there ever been a clash between Earth's military and aliens?
Yes, such cases are known. The Interstellar Union became cautious in contacts with Earthlings because several aircraft, even tourist ones, which did not cause any harm to your planet, were shot down by your military. And since they were tourist, they were not equipped with any means of defense against your weapons. But now, the Interstellar Union strongly recommends that those organizations that arrange tourist flights to your planet equip their ships with basic defenses because they believe that your space is aggressive.
There is such information from the contactor from Sweden, Anta Johansson. Her alien curator said, "You have an interesting planet. We start to enter the atmosphere and land. We do not touch anyone. Suddenly your warplanes start attacking us. Out of the blue."
Yes. If a pilot is flying to Earth for the first time, he is usually surprised by the reaction of your military. But those who've been in the job a long time are naturally no longer surprised. They simply avoid contact with your satellites and airplanes. For example, I have been here since 1983 and have driven a flying saucer, as you call it, myself, and I have had meetings in the air with representatives of your military structures. But I was naturally not surprised by their reactions. I just didn't bring it to an encounter. But my ship, like any explorer's ship, has defenses against the defeat elements of your weapons.
What can you say about the defense of alien spaceships against Earth missiles and other weapons? Does the electromagnetic radiation field somehow gather around the saucer?
There is a plasma field, plasma ball, which protects the ship from small stones so that they do not crash into the ship. The defense against a missile is simply to direct electromagnetic radiation. Any missile has instruments inside, and it does not fly just like a thrown stone, but according to a certain program. In the electronic devices of the missile is recorded on what trajectory it should fly, and the electromagnetic field of ships disrupts the electrical devices of missiles. So the missile goes off course and changes the trajectory it was supposed to follow. At that time, the ship flies away and the missile flies on. There is no collision.
What do you say about alien aerial games with Earth's military?
There are different cases. Yes, there are such specialists who like to show their superiority, and when they are almost caught up, they dodge aside. They have artificial gravity in the saucer, so they are not subjected to overloads and can dodge at any angle. The saucer pilots are well aware that there is no artificial gravity device on terrestrial airplanes. As a rule, in the saucers is a screen scanner, which scanning beam makes it possible to see what is happening in the airplane. Then, the alien pilots allow the Earth pilot to almost catch up with the ship while watching his emotions, and then they quickly dodge and watch his new reaction.
We also have specialists who have such a sense of humor. Is there technology to read a pilot's mind?
There are beings among the specialists visiting Earth who on a screen that can see his aura. There are types of screens that show the energy structure, and you can guess from the aura what emotions and feelings a military pilot is experiencing.
So we can assume that the pilot of a military airplane experiences aggression and other negative emotions.
Yes. The pilots of flying saucers, who have thus evaded encounters with airplanes, then fly back to their base and enthusiastically tell and show recordings of what they saw. I have repeatedly met such Tashig specialists at the lunar base and have seen these records on their ship.
They record the whole process?
They showed recordings of the external trajectory and how the vehicles flew and the reaction of the pilots and how they behaved.
Do extraterrestrial spacecraft communicate with Earth's military by radio?
We do not use your communications equipment. If they are installed on any of our ships, they are very rare.
Is there such a thing as an experiment or not?
We have no such authority to make verbal contact with your military service.
So you have clear guidelines on this?
We only have instructions on how to talk to contactors. But if we, on our saucer, meet your military or civilian planes, which begin to pursue our ship, we realize that the words, "Earthlings, stop, don't attack," won't help, as your military structure considers it a trespass. The Interstellar Union, on the contrary, considers that since Burkhadians created you, and your contactors have the right to visit other worlds, so our ships have the right to be in your airspace. In fact, your planet Burkhad has long been considered a Burkhad colony, but when you're being pursued, there's no time to talk. In general, the instructions prescribe that at that moment, do not make any contact and do not play and leave.
Can you tell me about cases when Earth's military shot down UFOs?
There were cases when some representatives of other planets shot down airplanes. It happened because the airplane attacked his ship and the pilot, giving in to emotional impulse, used weapons and damaged the airplane. There have been cases like that. But it is forbidden to defend oneself with weapons in such cases. It is prescribed not to make any contact, but simply to leave the place by turning on the planetary engine.
Have there been cases when UFOs were the first to open fire on Earth's airplanes?
Yes, there have been such cases, as well as the kidnapping of your people. But those were committed by criminals with very different motives. For example, if they didn't want to hide their presence in front of the military at all, if they noticed your military following them, they could use weapons.
Do Earth-like aliens appear in public places on Earth?
Different civilizations can make biorobots almost indistinguishable from you, neither in appearance nor in behavior. As you understand, biorobots act according to a program, and there is no intelligent spirit living in them. They can be completely identical to a human being. They can talk, walk, move around, act according to a program. Some civilizations send these very biorobots for contact. In cases when these civilizations need to visit places on Earth that are difficult for contactors, or if a civilization has no contactors and they need to examine your food, for example, then they send their representative to the store. And they take money from the civilizations contacting you, which have contactors on Earth. They give them the money. Some contactors are asked to share the money for research purposes, because to make their money instead of yours is considered unethical interference in your internal affairs.
So they're basically biorobots. Is it possible to meet aliens themselves on the street?
Yes, if, for example, a representative of Desaru, these are your descendants, and they are almost not different from you, will come to your planet, put on your clothes, which should also be made or bought on Earth, learn your manners and language. Maybe some tourist will want to do this for the sake of feeling that he is an Earthling. That's quite possible. But personally, I don't know of any such cases. If someone would want to walk around the Earth in the guise of an Earthling, it is definitely not the explorers. We do not have time for that. If even my physical body was like an Earthling, I would not waste my time on it, because I already spend a lot of time among you in my astral body, and I know everything. I have talked to Burkhadians, I have talked to Kirhitan from Daral, and none of us have even had the thought of walking among you to study you. We have no time for that, for we are busy exploring. We study your planet through contactors.
Who are the men in black?
I would not be surprised if your special services would come to the contactors if they became aware of the contact. But at present there is no point for the intelligence services to do that, because it has been known for a long time that it exists, and the contactors are not hiding. Irina is an example of this, maybe in America or in other countries where it was hushed up in front of the society. There may have been such special services whose representatives could present themselves as biorobots, aliens, and anyone else just to frighten this person.
It's a little bit different. When a person met these people in black, they initially appeared to him as FBI agents, but in the process of conversation, he realized that it was not a human being, but a biorobot.
I have not met with such cases. If they said, "Do not talk about contacts," we should ask about the reason. Ask for documents. Who could send biorobots of another civilization to contactors? Unless members of a civilization who are against your civilization in general. In principle, for example, individual reptilians.
Can the confrontation in space become an occasion for similar games here on Earth?
Theoretically, anything can be possible. Because biorobots can be obtained, they are not in short supply, they can be bought and programmed for any action. But the question arises, who needs it? And for what purposes did he come? Why did he send the biorobots to this contactor and tell him not to talk about the contact? We need to think about what kind of contact was made and what was said, and then we'll find out who benefited from it.